Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new unit review. This time I will review the Grey Knights using these stats. I will use a tool that I explained before to compare units. If you are interested in knowing what is the mathematical or the stats that I'm using for this tool, you can check in the link below and go to the video where I explain the tool. As well, in that video, I will compare this unit to the Strike Squads, Terminators, and the Chaos Space Marines. I'm using also Chaos Space Marines because I used the tool on them before. As well, at the end of this video, I will do a comparison between the falchions and halberds, and then you will see what are the most efficient in close combat. And now, let's start first reviewing the Grey Knight Purifiers. So these are the different units that I will put under review here. 5 Purifiers with 2 sea cannons, 5 Purifiers with 2 silencers, 5 Purifiers with 2 sea cannons, hammer and halberd, the same with incinerators, then 10 Purifiers with sea cannons, 10 Purifiers with sea cannons, hammers and halberds, and 10 Purifiers with silencers. I also have to say that at the end of the review, I will also compare halberds versus falchions. So if you are interested to check this part, go to the end of the video where I will do a comparison between effectiveness of the falchions versus the halberds. Also, I will use the the reviews I did before on the Strike Squads and Terminators and also on the Chaos Space Marines to benchmark them to other units. And then you will see how are they compared to other units that I analyzed before. As I will keep reviewing units, I will compare them to the best units that I in each field. So in that case, I will talk about movement. There is nothing different, just they move as infantry as all the other units I analyzed before. So nothing else to add. And we go to shooting infantry. Let's start with light infantry and heavy infantry and bikes. So if we check them, we see that as before, sea cannons are the most balanced ones. They are a good threat against light infantry and against heavy infantry. Of course, because all the points are normalized, 5 Purifiers with 2 sea cannons have the same effectiveness as 10 Purifiers with 4 sea cannons, as you can see here on the numbers. So I also compare them to other units that I checked before. We can compare them with the Flamers, Plasma, and the Strike Squad with sea cannons and hammers and halberds. So if we look at the anti-infantry, the best unit up to now are the 10 Space Marines, the 10 Chaos Space Marines with Flamers. And the reason why is because the cost is much lower, so you are not paying extra bonus for the cost combat. As well, the Plasma unit with the Chaos Space Marines with 2 plasma guns are have better stats, especially at short range against infantry and heavy infantry. On the other side, if we look medium range, the best are the Purifiers with sea cannons if they remain stationary. If we compare to the Strike Squad, where the cost points is lower, we see that the effectiveness is lower because they have less amount of special weapons by the same number of Marines. Although they are cheaper, they are penalized because they only have 2 special weapons per 10 instead of 4. So summarizing, Purifiers is a very solid unit to shoot light infantry and to shoot heavy infantry. If we look now at the capacity of shooting monsters and flying monsters, we see that the silencer is a very good choice, as well as the sea cannon, and of course the incinerator is dropping a lot. And then if we look short range, we look at flying monsters, you are not penalized by moving because you have to do snapshots anyway, so your effectiveness is not dropped when you move. If we compare to other units that we checked before, we see that the only one that is close to it and is only in short range and shooting to monsters is the Chaos Space Marine with Plasma. In all the other cases, the Purifiers are best in shooting, especially if we compare to Strike Squads or if we compare to Terminators as well. So if we are looking for a shooting unit between the Purifiers, the Strike Squads, and Terminators, we should choose Purifiers as one of the best choices to do this type of role. If we look now the shooting capacity against vehicles, we will see that they are the best unit of all the ones that we analyze, as well as in the case of the infantry, they are much stronger shooting vehicles than the strike squads and terminators. And here, what is especially strong are the units with the sea cannons. This is strength 7 weapon that can do, that is salvo 2-4. It's very strong when you try to shoot light, heavy, and flyers. And if you compare this to 10 Marines with Meltagun, you will see that they win in all the ranges against any type of vehicle, as well as we compare them against Space Marines with Chaos with Plasma Gun. So, very good choice. As I said before, Purifiers is a very good choice if you're looking for a shooting unit. So if we look overall score, that is the average of all scores of the sections that I explained before, we see that the unit with 2 sea cannons or the 10 with 4 sea cannons are the ones with better punctuation. This means that they are the most flexible and they are the most efficient against several or against different targets. If we compare them with the sea cannons, with hammers and halberds, the punctuation is lower because here we take into consider we are not using the points invested in hammers and halberds in shooting. As well, if we look at the silencers, we see that they are not strong. They are very specific. This is due to that they are very specific to infantry and to monsters, especially if you can activate the force special rule. On the other side, if we compare Purifiers to Strike Squad, or we compare them to other units from the Chaos and Marines, we see that the punctuation of the Purifiers with sea cannons are much higher, are 50% higher than any of these squads. And we can see that equivalent points or equivalent equipment between the Purifiers and the Strike Squads, the effectiveness in shooting is much higher on the Purifiers. It's even taking into account the extra points that you have to spend per Purifier. I have to remind that all these numbers are normalized, so this is efficiency by 100 points of each unit. So this is why it's good you can do a direct comparison. So we will say that Purifiers are a very solid unit for shooting, and they are very flexible and they can damage to several types of different units. But these have a drawback, and if we look at the resistance of the Purifiers, they are much lower than any other of the units that we analyzed before. What is the reason why the resistance is lower? Is that you are paying more points for the extra attack and for all the weapons. This is why Chaos Space Marines look as the most resistant, because for the points you pay, if you're losing one Space Marine is much lower than if you're losing one Purifier, and the ability to kill a Space Marine or a Purifier is the same, so you have the same opportunities because they have same toughness and same armor. So this is why the reason that the Purifiers are penalized, because they are quite expensive. So 10 Purifiers will resist the same as 10 Chaos Space Marines, but the points that you have to invest for 10 Purifiers is higher. Or said in another way, if you are spending 1,000 points on Chaos Space Marines and 1,000 points on Purifiers, you will have less Purifiers, meaning that they are going to be faster to be killed. If we compare also to the Strike Squad, we see that the Strike Squad is not much more resistant than the Purifiers. So looking at this number, plus taking into account that the Purifiers are more efficient in shooting, if you're looking for shooting units, Purifiers will do better role than the Strike Squads. On the other side, we also have the Terminators, and we see that Terminators are more resilient, are more resistant to the shooting. So this means that for the points invested in Terminators, you will have more durability on the same number of points per invest. So Purifiers, good in shooting, but you are penalized when when we talk about resistance, because the numbers are going to be quite low. Anyway, we have to see that the Purifiers are not only good in shooting, they are also very good in close combat, and they are more efficient if they are in units of 10 than if they are in units of 5 Purifiers, even if the quantity of the hammers per marine is higher. For example, in 5 Purifiers with hammers and halberds are not as good as you have 10, even after normalizing the cost of points. So I will say that if you want to involve your Purifiers in close combat, it's better to go for higher units because then efficiency is higher. Anyway, Purifiers are very good also in close combat, thanks that they have force weapons, and they have also they can be equipped with hammers and other type of force weapons. But if we compare them to other units in the same codex, we see that if we compare to Terminators, Terminators are more efficient in close combat, especially because the armor are making them more resistant, especially in close combat. If we then compare them to Strike Squads, if we compare units of 10, they are almost in parity as the Strike Squad in close combat efficiency. If we compare with units of 5, we see that the Purifiers are a little bit penalized, going on low numbers are making them less efficient in close combat. If we compare to any of the Chaos squads that I analyzed before, Purifiers are better, and the only one that is close to them is the 10 Chaos Space Marine with the Marcos of Lineage and Icon of Despair, and it's mainly because the Icon of Despair is giving them feel no pain. But the lack of power weapons on the unit and only having one are making them less or lower in attack, and this is why Chaos or normal Marines are not as efficient as Purifiers or Strike Squad as the Great Knights. So Great Knights or Purifiers in that case, very good in shooting, and also, as we expected, very good in close combat. If we look now at the assault to vehicles, we see that the Purifiers with halberds and hammers are quite dangerous assaulting vehicles. And if we compare to other units that we analyzed before, we see that they are at the same level of the Terminators in question of effectiveness to assault vehicles, the same as the Strike Squadrons. The Space Marines, the Chaos Space Marines, are much lower than, in that case, with the equipment that I analyzed, than the Grey Knights. So Purifiers, again, are very good in shooting and very good in close combat, and are quite dangerous to vehicles when they assault, especially if they are using the hammer hand. So to conclude all the analysis on the Grey Knight Purifiers, they are very strong in shooting, they are very strong in close combat. If we are looking for close combat, I still think Terminators are better than Purifiers. Their armor, the Terminator armor, is making more and bigger the difference in close combat than in shooting. If you're looking for a shooting unit with some capability on close combat, then Purifiers are going to be stronger. Take into account that I didn't take into conclusive flames in all this analysis what will make them more dangerous. But the main drawback on the Purifiers is that they are so expensive that is dropping the resistance. So each time that you lose a Purifier, you're losing a lot of points compared to other units with same type of resistance, and this is why it's dropping a lot the average on resistance of the Purifiers. So it's very good in attacking, but when you start getting losses, you start suffering a lot. Terminators are more compensated in that aspect. So I think Purifiers are still a good choice, but I recommend them to use a shooting with C cannons and use cover, or try to use some type of defense to boost the resistance in the battlefield. And here I will do this comparison because I had the request to compare the halberds with the factions to see if they are worth or not for the cost points. And in that the stacks, I suppose that I use hammer hand. So if we use hammer hand, normally the factions are going to be a stronger option than the halberds, and the extra points that you will pay for the factions are worse, because it means that you are going to kill more than halberd for the same cost points. On the other hand, if you are not using hammer hand, this difference will start to be diluted, and if you are fighting a unit with toughness 6 without hammer hand, that I know that they are not a lot, then the difference is going to be minimized and the halberds are going to be more efficient. The same will happen if you are trying to assault a unit with toughness 8. Halberds are going to be more efficient than the extra attack from the falchion. In all the other cases, falchions are going to be more efficient, and this extra attack will make them more strong in assaulting. On the other hand, if we look at the assaulting vehicles, halberds are more efficient than the falchions. Even with hammer hand and with extra attack, the cost you pay for falchions are not compensated, and the halberds are going to be more efficient. So I will say that there is not a direct answer to say if the falchions are better or not than halberds. I think personally I would prefer halberds, but other people will prefer the falchions. All depends how you use the unit. Also have to say in the con that each time you're using a marine, you're increasing the cost of the unit that you see here from 272 to 290 will make them less resistant in my stacks, meaning that when you are receiving shooting, you are losing more points than in the case of the halberds. So this is all what I want to say. So it's not that clear that falchions are less efficient or more efficient. It's going to be situational. Most of the times, if you have hammer hand against infantry, falchions are better choice than the halberds, and against vehicles, halberds are going to be better choice than falchions. So that's all what I want to share in that. Please leave your comments, subscribe if you're not subscribed, like if you think that the video was interesting. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye!